Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Colin Simon, General Manager of Buckeye Championship Wrestling. Simon, thank you for doing the interview today. We had 3 great tournaments today, some big matches. Tell us how the tag team titles went down.
So the tag team tournament had some stiff competition. We had kind of a mix between Rust Belt and BCW. Rust Belt did prevail. The headband of brothers won the titles. That is Mr. James Booker and Mr. Matt Nealon. So Nealon once again winning a new title. The tag titles, as we announced earlier, are actually part of both Ohio brands. So those are Interstate, yeah. So those, I think that's the first collaboration we've had in the LFF between 2 different federations, making history in Ohio. What can I say?
And it just made sense. We are very close to each other along the 71 North-South here, so it just made sense because we just builds a bigger division.
Absolutely, and we're all one community. You got to play it forward. Belts mean nothing if there's only 6 people competing for them.
Definitely.
So we want to make sure that the prestige is built on those titles. And then we followed that up right away with Rust Belt brought their title down and graciously defended against our #1 contender, Mr. Bobby O. There was actually a stipulation in that match. Matt Nealon stated that if he won, Mr. Bobby O would have to be his hype man all the way up into the Grand Gathering, and he did retain. So Bobby O is now his hype man for a good, 2 months now?
Through at least May 20th, I believe.
Yeah, so the prestigious services of Bobby O have been gifted to Mr. Matt Nealon, who also defended his Rust Belt title. And then once our main event was the return match for Mr. James Hand to get his rematch shot against Mr. Matt Nealon once again for the BCW title. Another very close game, well fought, and Matt Nealon once again proves that he is the undisputed Ohio champion.
I want to give a big shout out to James Hand. He was really, some would say, put on the back foot during the beginning of the match. He got super buried. Won a bunch of turn rolls, came back at crowd meter 2, got a couple cards in play, but Matt just kept going into the tank.
I believe he went from a hand size of 0 at one point all the way up to about 6 or 7. So he kind of rallied there for a moment, but unfortunately in the end it was just a little bit too much to overcome.
And we want to give a big shout out to James Hand. He's been a great competitor here. He lost his belt back in the triple threat a couple months ago. He got his rematch now against Matt Nealon. Now, Matt is currently the undisputed Ohio champion. Who is Matt's next opponent for the BCW Heavyweight Championship?
Yes. So Matt's next opponent is none other than the great and powerful and feared Mallory. She won our last month's tournament for #1 contendership. We will be bringing her up to Rust Belt's event on April 13th. And we'll see what happens. I think it'll be a battle of puppy pants, actually.
Assuming she's not grounded on April 13th.
Assuming she's not grounded.
She went on a world tour of Europe and then got grounded and couldn't come up today.
Yeah, she is 9 years old, so there's some obstacles there. Just like Nicholas with Braun Strowman. When you're still in school, that sometimes interferes with title matches in the LFF.
Well, Colin, I want to thank you here for having us today. We hope to see you up there on April 13th.
I'll be competing this time, so who knows what can happen.
Glad to have you here.
Absolutely.